Over the years, I've seen some really good conspiracy theories, from whole books that were mimeographed and explaining how the UN was going to take over the USA with foreign peacekeeping troops way back in the 1980s, to internet tales of gay frogs, anti-vaxxing, and even today's adrenochrome. Have you heard a good conspiracy lately? Or better yet, what conspiracies do you believe in? Give us a call because the show is starting right now. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Truth Wanted. I am your host, Kelley Laughlin. This is a live call-in show that we do every single week on Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time. And we talk to people about what they believe and why they believe it. And if you'd like to call us, you certainly can. We'd love to have you call us at 1-512-991-9242 or through your computer at tiny.cc/calltw. I would be remiss if I didn't say Truth Wanted is a product of the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government. And for not the first time, but now we are streaming tonight. So a big shout out to all of our viewers on TikTok and on YouTube mobile. Welcome. We're glad to have you. And good shout out to our regular viewers from regular old YouTube as well. Every week we have a special guest, and my very special guest this week is Aaron Jensen. You may have seen him around before. Hi, Aaron. How are you?
I am not Aaron. I am actually 10 gay frogs in a trench coat.
Yeah.
So that is the conspiracy theory. So let's talk about that. Ribbit. Hello, Kelley. I'm doing well tonight. How are you?
That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. That was a great way to start the show.
Prove me wrong. 10 gay frogs in a trench coat.
How tall are you?
I've been told between 6'2" and 6'3".
Okay, because I'm thinking it might take more than 10 frogs.
Well, they're gay, so they're
so they're taller.
It takes them take up a little more space, I guess. I don't know.
I'm just gonna hit you with the logic, damn it.
Okay, yeah, I think you're right. I don't think I have 10 gay frogs in a trench coat.
So how's life been treating you?
Oh, life, life moves forward at 1 second per second. So I've just put one foot in front of the other and, taking it day by day.
I'm not going to mention where you live at, but I've heard you live in one of the hellscapes of the United States.
Yeah, I'm up here in Portland, Oregon. I don't mind mentioning where I'm at. Yes, it is a hellscape. I see the hell and the scape every time I drive into work. Every day I go to work every day. I actually drive through downtown Portland. And oh my gosh, there's nothing going on. There's no war zone. There's no hellscape. Even at its worst, the hellscape was limited to like a 4x4 block area in downtown Portland, and the ICE protests were limited to an even smaller area in the South Waterfront here in Portland, where it was basically 5 blocks away from some of the priciest condos inhabited by some of the wealthiest people and doctors in Portland. So it's a very interesting place to be, that's for sure.
Got to keep up appearances, right?
You gotta keep up appearances.
I've been to Portland, believe it or not, twice in real life and once in reality. My dad lived there for a while, and it's always one of the greatest, nicest cities that I ever visited, honestly.
It's a beautiful city, yes.
It's a great big city. It really was. The people there were so much friendlier than most big cities I've been to. It was really amazing to me. So yeah, I really enjoyed Portland.
It's a beautiful city. You've got the beach about an hour and a half away. You've got Mount Hood an hour and a half, 2 hours away. You can ski on Mount Hood in the summer. They've got a big old glacier up there that you can take a lift up to and ski on. The Mount Hood National Forest is beautiful. The beaches, if you're going to be the beaches, they're beautiful. You've got a desert about 3 hours away. Bend, Oregon is a beautiful city as well. Right. Oregon really is a beautiful place.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it. I really, really did. My dad and I drove up to Mount St. Helens,
Yep.
which to me as a geologist was freaking
Oh my
amazing. It was
gosh.
one of the coolest things I ever did, to be
One of
honest
the
with
coolest sights you will ever see in your life is looking, if you come down I-5 from Seattle to Portland on the right day, um, with the weather clear, there's a view you can see of the entire northwest part of Mount St. Helens gone, because during the eruption, it was the biggest landslide in recorded
you.
history.
Right.
And you can still see that it's gone. The whole northeast side of the mountain is gone, but you can only see it from certain spots. And it's creepy and chilling to see a mountain just gone.
Right. Right. Yeah, it was it is pretty amazing. I was really amazed, like driving up to the site, going up the river, about how much debris had floated down the stream bed, the riverbed.
Yeah.
And it's still, this was 30 years after the eruption, and it was still devastated, that much later in time.
I
And it
can't
was pretty
remember
amazing.
if some rivers actually disappeared because of the eruption. I think one or two rivers actually are no more, because of the eruption. But yeah, it was pretty intense.
I know I was reading about one of the lakes going up the side of a mountain and coming back down into its bed.
Yeah.
Just the whole
Yeah,
lake.
they knew it was going to erupt, and so the scientists already told people, evacuate, get out, get out, get out. And I think there was a lake up there called Spirit Lake, and there was an old guy that he basically lived there, and he wasn't going to go, he wasn't going to move, and he was one of the people killed in the eruption, because he wasn't going to leave. And just if you just look at old pictures, there's acres and acres of trees that just look like matchsticks that have just been blown over, just for miles and miles and miles.
Yeah, it was amazing, and it was just like little, like just thousands and thousands and thousands of matchsticks. It was the devastation was amazing. I'd never seen anything like it.
Yep, and then the ash cloud circled the earth at least once. Some ash fell in almost every single state in the United States.
So we've got a couple of calls already. You want to just
let's jump into some calls. Let's do it. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do it then. Our first call is from Jamie, her from Texas. Wants to discuss free will and the problem of evil. Hi, Jamie. How are you?
Yeah. Sorry. I told the call screener he him, but it's okay. But I just wanted to clarify that. Anyways.
Got it.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. So my question, it's not really a question. It's more of like what you guys think of it. But I'm sure everyone's familiar with the problem of evil, and especially against the triomni God. But I haven't ever seen the answer addressed, because the answer that I've always heard, especially surrounded by Baptists and evangelicals, is that it's okay because it's because of free will. And I don't believe in free will personally, but that's always the answer I hear. So I have a sort of argument against it, and I'd be curious if you want to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. As long as it's not too long. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So after they tell me it's about free will, I would then go into, well, what do you define as free will? And it's usually one of two things. It's either to choose between good and evil, or to choose between what's in your capability, right? And well, the most common one is good and evil, because they would need evil, and that's why evil is, because free will. So you need that ability to choose. So then I would ask them, well, if evil is something that is required by free will, do we have free will in heaven, right? Then usually the argument then changes into it's only the ability to choose within our capability. So then I would ask them, well, then why is Earth needed if it is only the ability to choose within our capability, and we're going to become robots in heaven anyways? What was the point of the middle step?
Yeah, I agree. I actually agree with that. That's a good point. I also don't believe we have free will. I think a lot of theists confuse free will with free choice, and they're two different things. So, and a lot of them, because I could buy any model car I want to buy. I have free will, and that's just they're not the same thing to me. Aaron, what do you think?
I don't think it matters because I feel like I have free will. I feel like I have free choice, and so I think I do. I would probably agree that today I probably don't have free will. Whatever I'm going to choose today is probably kind of written in stone based on my past. So I think, but I think you can like change what you're going to do in longer periods of time. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. Like I go to therapy, and it's helped. It's helped me work through some things. So it feels like I have free will. It feels like I'm making a difference. It feels like I'm improving my mental and emotional health by going through that process. Um, I guess I could not go. I can look back at my life and see mistakes that I've made, and I no longer make those mistakes. I've learned and grown from those things. So whether or not, I mean, I actually have free will or not, it feels like I do. It feels like I'm trying to improve. Yeah, I guess you could argue if you don't really have the desire to improve is what you don't choose, and I don't know, but it feels like I do, so I guess I do. That's kind of where I stand on it.
You got anything else you'd like to add to that, Jamie?
Not really. I was just kind of seeing how you guys took that because everyone I've given it to, they haven't really had much of an answer to it because I think they've never been challenged on this idea of free will because it's had such a high place in their mind.
Most people who believe in free will have never actually been challenged on it, right? They've been told they had free will, and as Aaron mentioned, it feels like I have free will, So why not believe that I have free will? There's no reason to question it. I agree with that. So I could see where a lot of people had never been challenged on it.
Yeah, and I certainly I think that our genetics probably plays a greater role in what we choose and who we are than science is ready than and people are ready to admit. You can definitely see it when you have kids that they are born the way they're born, and with their personalities and certain things in place. And you can no more change those kind of things. You can change your eye color and your hair color. And so those, I think, in that respect, those things aren't really your choice.
I always like to illustrate what I think of free will by using breakfast. I wake up in the morning and I want bacon and eggs, but I don't have any bacon. I don't have any eggs. My car has a flat tire. I can't make it to the store. And even if I could make it to the store, I don't have any cash on me right now to buy that bacon and eggs. Now I can have oatmeal. I can have some cornflakes. I can have some avocado toast. I've got 18 other options I can do, but I can't have those bacon and eggs. That was still my will, was to have bacon and eggs. But all I have is a limited free choice instead. So that's where I say a lot of people, I think, don't really understand free will. Then they confuse it with free choice instead. Does that make any sense at all?
Oh, yeah, no, complete sense. That's why I have that second option of the ability to choose within your capability.
Right.
So you're arguing about the problem of evil, and you're saying that when confronted with the problem of evil, religious types will say, well, evil has to exist because we have free will and God wants us to see if we're going to choose the good, right? That's usually the argument against the problem of evil. And so your argument to counteract that, can you rephrase it again for me? I don't think I quite followed it. I want to hear this one more time.
So when I then ask them, what is your definition of free will? And a lot of times they give me the ability to choose between good and evil, or the ability to choose within your capability. And so depending on either of those paths, so ability to choose between good and evil would be, well, then do we have free will in heaven? And then usually they change their definition, which is fine. And then I would ask them, then why is earth necessary? Because if we have free will in heaven, right, the ability to choose within our capability, which would just be good, as they say, because there's not going to be any bad things in heaven. One, that sounds terrible because we'd all be robots, right? Which is apparently what God doesn't want. And also the consent isn't ongoing. It's just you choose this one thing that's also counteracted with if you don't choose it, then you go to hell. So it's not even good consent, even if it's not ongoing. So once I kind of explain all these things to them, free will doesn't seem as much as an important thing or something that justifies evil in the world anymore.
So let me rephrase, make sure I'm following you. So you say, well, if we have free will, then we have to have a choice between good and evil. And then people say, yeah, that's what we have to do. Well, and then you say, well, what in heaven, if we all end up in heaven, can we choose between good and evil? And the answer is, well, no, because there's only good in heaven. And so then you're like, well, why don't we just go to heaven then? What's the point of the earth existing? Is that your argument? Am I understanding it
Yeah,
right?
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You bring up a really interesting point. I was raised Mormon, and it did seem to me when I was a teenager that God just wants us to be little automatons just like him, that there wasn't really any room for personality. There wasn't really any room for diversity. It was all be perfect like God. So everybody has to just be like God. And so in my mind, I'm like, well, if I go to heaven and I'm just like God, what happens to me? I kind of lose who I am. Yeah.
Yes, that was something I struggled with a lot when I was like 8 or 9-ish. I was always really scared. Like, I kind of put it in terms of a video game where in the top right-hand corner, whenever you made a decision, it would say, so-and-so will remember this later. That's what I always felt like when I made decisions in life. It was like I was going to get to heaven, and there was literally going to be a path between a narrow road and a wide road, and I would not be able to control my character, and my decision would be based on what I did and what I believed in my mortal life, so to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I think you bring up a good point. I think the underlying, in my view, what your argument is that if God can make heaven a good place, why can't he make earth a good place where people can't choose evil? Why do we have to go through this stage,
Or is earth just redundant?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, there's no point in it, because if we did, because then the other thing is, well, we might be able to choose evil in heaven, and then you get sent to hell, and it'd be like, then heaven would just be another earth, but all the bad people would be kicked out immediately. So I don't understand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
I think even deeper than the problem of evil, because I think there's people by human nature, there's just going to be evil people. I think it's the worst one is the problem of suffering.
Why don't we just have God not make evil people?
Because there's suffering and needlessly. There's childhood leukemia, there's car accidents, there's all these things that just are needless, and they don't. What is suffering teaching us, right? Yeah, it's. I think we could, if we sat down and put our heads together, we could probably come up with a better system that gives people the ability to learn and grow, that doesn't include suffering, that eliminates evil people, but still gives people the opportunity to choose between good and evil, right?
To me, it seems like the argument against like suffering would be, well, we need suffering. Well, it's not that we need suffering, but that suffering is not to play devil advocate, but
play devil advocate.
Suffering wasn't intentional, but that it was because after the fall or whatever. Which doesn't make sense to me, because it's always really funny when they bring up, well, it's obviously a creator because everything is so perfectly designed. But then when it's not, they say, well, the fall. And it's like, you can't have both at the same time. Things can't be perfectly designed, but also corrupted, but also perfectly, I don't know. There's just contradiction in there, and it only works whenever it wants to fit whatever narrative they're trying to push at the moment.
Exactly. They're filling in the gaps. They're my mind escapes me. Yes, they've come up with a story and they're just trying to fill in all these explanations. They're apologizing. It's all apologetics, where this part of the story doesn't make sense. They have to come up with a reason for it, and then that doesn't fit in. It's just a house of cards that eventually will.
Well, like, if you ignore this part for a little bit, this part makes sense, so it's okay.
Yeah. What makes more sense, that a God created a perfect world and then put men on it and they screwed it up and now it's an imperfect world, or that man created God to explain things and the concept of God is made up? And I mean, what has more explanatory power?
To explain the imperfect world, right?
Yeah. Maybe just because we're in an imperfect world.
Yeah. Well, Jamie, I encourage you to keep going out there and asking these questions.
Asking good questions.
Totally. You're right. I think you're walking the right path there, if you're asking me. So keep up the good work.
Yeah, that was all. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for calling.
Okay.
Give us a call back. Let us know how it's going.
Yes.
All righty. That was an easy call. That was a nice one.
That was great. Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. You know what? I would like to do something right now that I should have done before we took a call, and that was bring up our backup host, Damien, so we could do the prompt, the question of the week, the prompt of the week.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, Damien.
Hello, Damien. How are you?
Now,
With the
I'm
Australian
good,
accent.
except I am 11 gay frogs tall
Oh,
compared to Aaron's 10. So, however, because I'm Australian, they're gay cane toads, not frogs.
Right,
So different species
right.
of amphibian. But no, I think that line will live in infamy. They're turning the frogs gay.
Would that be two gay wombats tall?
Possibly. Maybe I'm too gay wombats heavy, not tall, but no, because he says that line with such conviction. This is the beauty of it. It's almost like an art form. Yeah, he really got into that line. They're turning the front.
Yeah.
And people love to believe people that are very confident in what they're saying.
Yes, true.
We believe
authority.
confidence is like it's like icing to our brain.
It's a drug, yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, last week, now I had the pleasure of hosting last week with John, and now I'm back as a backup host. So last week, I asked you what is not an Olympic event but should be, and here are my favorite answers. Number 3, from Chuck Gatos. Enthusiasts trying to get chess into the Olympic Games should put the chess clocks 10 meters or so from the board. Then the more athletic players will have more time to consider their moves, and the game really will be a sport. So, boom, just for that one. Number 2.
And you need and add some obstacles. You could have different kinds of chesses, where there's no obstacle, some where there's some obstacles. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
And maybe weigh the pieces down as well, so it becomes like a combined athletic and weightlifting event as well.
There you go. Yeah.
So thank you, Chuck, for that. Number 2 is from Ironclad Alibi. What is not an Olympic event but should be casting out demons?
I'm all for that one.
It should absolutely be, and maybe even speaking in tongues.
Ooh.
That's a commentary. That's the commentary for the.
I usually don't go for sports that require judges, but I would watch a casting out demons / speaking in tongues judged event.
Fair enough. And number 1 comes from Alec Julian. The new Olympic event, the William Lane Craig low jump. Whoever lowers the bar the most wins.
That is freaking awesome.
That's
that is really good.
So the prompt for this week is, what's the most ridiculous religious claim you've believed?
Ooh.
And I reckon we could get a whole episode
one.
out of that one. Yes, Aaron.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I actually believed it, but I was probably supposed to believe it. But maybe I did believe it. It's been too long. So the Mormon prophet Spencer W. Kimball, he became prophet in the mid 70s, and he served for like 10 years. 5 to 10 years before he became prophet, he was an apostle, which is like just below the prophet. And he wrote a book called The Miracle of Forgiveness. The book has nothing to do about forgiveness. It has everything to do with here are all the wrong things you're doing. Please stop doing them, or you're going to be in a bad spot. But anyway, for some weird, bizarre reason, towards the back of this book, Apostle Kimball tells the story of a guy who's out on horseback in the middle of the wilderness, and a tall, dark, hairy man comes up next to this guy and claims to be Cain from the Bible. And the guy on the horse raises his arm to the square, and they have a little conversation. And finally, the guy on the horse raises his arm to the square and calls upon Jesus and casts Cain out to go and continue to wander the earth. And so basically, in a book written by a church leader, it is claimed that Cain is actually Bigfoot and Bigfoot is actually Cain.
Cursed to wander the earth forever.
Cursed to wander the earth forever. I kid you not. You can search it up.
Yep.
Miracle of Forgiveness, Cain, Bigfoot.
Yeah, I
Take that
actually
on
know
next
that
week's
one. I don't
episode.
need to. I don't need to look that one up. That's always been a favorite one of mine, actually.
Yes.
I think my silliest thing that I believe when I was a kid, I honestly believed that every white dove was the Holy Spirit.
Every white dog?
Dove.
Dove. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So whenever I saw a white dove, I thought it was God and, like the Holy Spirit right there in front of me. That was probably the silliest thing I thought. When I
So
was a kid.
if you saw two white doves in the same place, how do you know which one's the spirit?
The
It
correct
was
Holy
just
Spirit.
more spirit, right? I was a little kid. I didn't have any logic abilities.
So now you're saying the Holy Spirit is like a vampire, but instead of turning to bats, it turns into doves.
Multiple
It breaks
doves.
apart into doves. Okay, we have to write a movie about this. Where this Holy
Aaron,
Spirit
if I
combats
just
vampires.
vampires. If I can just quickly ask you, how does this story of Cain compare to the magic underwear? I thought you were going to say magic underwear for a second, but
No, the magic underwear is just magic underwear. You just you wear it to be protected. You wear it as a symbol of the promises you've made God, and
why underwear?
you'd have to ask Joseph Smith and Brigham Young. No idea.
Oh, darn it. I missed out
No
by
idea.
150 years.
Yeah.
Did they own an underwear company?
That's probably why.
I've never actually looked
A lingerie company.
Yeah, we should look into that. Yeah, or a laundry company. Yeah, we need to look into that.
From what I understand, Joseph Smith was very much into folk magic. If you kind of look at some of the things in the Book of Mormon, it really lines up with a lot of the weird folk traditions and magics that people in the New England area of the United States where he lived at the time believed. And I wouldn't be surprised if the magic underwear, it literally is meant to be a way of protecting you. And there's apocrypha in the church where people tell stories of, I was wearing my garments and there was a fire and I got burned everywhere where my garments were. Or I was wearing my garments. They're called garments. The magic underwear are called garments in the Mormon church. And I got shot, but it didn't go through my garments, right? Just those kind of, you've never actually met the person it happened to, but you hear stories like that. So I would not be surprised if it was some kind of folkloric magic thing in New England at the time that he just kind of adopted and said, hey, wear this magic underwear and you're going to be protected.
Interesting.
That would be my off the top of my head guess.
There's a history of that though. Like, isn't there like within humanity? Like I was just thinking of like the Gauls painting their bodies blue, and the blue protecting them from weapons, right? So there's like a long history of that kind of thought, right? Makes sense.
Folk magic and magic. Oh yeah, it goes back a long, long, long way. Yeah.
If I can ask Aaron, my understand what was. Didn't Mormonism come from the same place that Theosophy came from as well, and roughly around the same time period?
I've never heard the word. What's Theosophy? I haven't heard of that before.
The name Helena Blavatsky. It was. I'm getting. I'm getting confused between that and Christian Science as well. But I do understand that in the New England area of America in the 1800s, you had all these really weird, kind of crazy beliefs. And my understanding was that Mormonism and Theosophy and Christian Science and probably a couple of others I've forgotten off the top of my head were
kind of
from
started
around this.
I am not familiar with the origins of Theosophy or Christian Science, but I have heard that that some other religions have came out around the same time, the same area.
Fair enough. All right,
and New England, they were also in upstate New York. So upstate New York all the way up through New England is where Joseph Smith lived until the church was founded. What
is our prompt for next week, Damien?
Well, that is our prompt for next week is what is the most ridiculous religious claim
we just answered
believe?
That. Like my brain just totally farted.
That's okay. That's all right. It's so nice to say it twice.
Yeah, just to remind everybody, I guess, remind me at least.
Yep.
Wake you. We do have a couple of calls in the queue, so I'd like to move on to them. But before we do, so we'll catch you at the end of the show, Damien, and we'll love to have you come back and tell us what you thought, or the callers and the rest of the show. And before we go and take that call, I want to thank the patron of the week, who is, drumroll please, Fortuna Ex Machina. Fortuna Ex Machina. Cool name.
Thank you, Fortuna.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks to all of our people that donate money through Patreon and through other means as well. Here at YouTube, super chats. If you do a super chat, we will read it out loud. So, well, as long as it's YouTube friendly anyway.
Fortune in the machine? Is that what that fortuna? Is that what that means in Latin? Fortune of the machine, in the machine? It's like is that just mean treasure box? Is that what their name is in Latin? Treasure box? I don't know.
Kind of. I guess you could interpret it that way, right? I liked it though.
That's a good name.
It is a good name. So let us go to our next call. We have Goatus, he, him in Ohio, wants to know if we believe in universal truths. Hi, Goatus. How are you?
Good.
Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Correct. Yes, you are.
So what exactly is it that you'd like to know?
Yeah, in your guys' atheistic worldview, if you want to call it a worldview, I digress on that. Do you guys believe that universal truths exist?
What do you mean by universal truths? Can you define that?
Yeah, something that would be true, and by true I mean in accordance with reality. Something that would be true everywhere for everyone at all times.
Well, there are things that correlate with the reality as I'm experiencing it, right? And I'm assuming that is true for everybody else. Like gravity works.
Right.
Would that be a good example of what you're talking about? Gravity?
Right, yeah, but I mean, you're safe to assume, but do you believe that, obviously, do you think we can, I guess maybe you might think this, do you think that gravity has to be true everywhere at all times? Or has to work the way it does everywhere at all times?
It seems to.
That's I guess, yeah, that's not really what I'm asking. Do you think, I wouldn't think you would say it has to be that way, right?
Well, I think science kind of assumes, because we can't be everywhere all at once. Testing if gravity is the same on Jupiter or in a different solar system or even in a different galaxy. So we can look out in the universe and see the effects of gravity, light going around galaxies, light going around black holes. And we can see that seems to, match the way that the theory of gravity explains how it works. So I would say universal truths exist so far as there's evidence there to support them. And if we receive new evidence, then those truths are going to have to change, because truth exists independent of whether or not we understand it, right? The universe works whether we understand how it works or not. And so we're just here trying to figure out how the universe works. And as we get more evidence and do more experiments and learn more things, we're going to, learn better how the universe works. And so we're coming up against the limits of how things actually are versus how we understand them. Does that make sense? How do you take that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I agree that I think that seems to be the case that gravity is probably true everywhere in the universe, but of course it's logically possible that it could be different in a different part of the universe, right? There's no so
I don't know that it can be. I honestly don't. I'd have to see a really good argument for that. I really would. It does seem to be a physical law that works everywhere. It appears to be anyway. Like we'll see a binary star system, right? That's showing us that they're putting out gravity. We're detecting planets orbiting around stars now in other galaxies, right? Or other solar systems, planetary systems. So we know that gravity is working out there in space. Now, is it somewhere way out in space? Maybe that gravity doesn't work. Maybe, but that'd probably be in the same place that God is living at that we can't see him at, right? But from all appearances, it does seem to be that gravity is a universal truth. And I think that there are physical laws that create physical universal truths. But I don't think we can come to any other universal truths, like, besides something that's physical and comports the reality.
Well, you wouldn't say that logic is a universal truth? It's certainly not physical.
It still comports the reality, though. It works.
You said what?
I said it still comports the reality, though. It works in reality.
Yeah, but you just said that you don't believe in.
I said physical and comports the reality.
Okay.
Does logic work? Yeah, it works. Is it real? Yes, because we use it, right? We use it to figure things out. So, I mean, is love real? It's not physical either, but it's real. We see the effects of it. We see the effects of using logic, right?
Well, I wouldn't say that love is necessarily real, especially in a materialist world. But once again, saying that logic just works doesn't really answer, like, it doesn't give any justification for the use of it.
Maybe to you it doesn't. It justifies it to me. If I have a system that works and it works well and it always works, why wouldn't I use that system? Why wouldn't I think that was a good system? Until somebody showed me it didn't work.
Because I think we're kind of equivocating here. I'm asking about, like, the truth of it and the necessity of logic, not the usefulness. Because something can certainly work and still be false. Like a belief can work and still be false. I mean, you guys would say that.
So do you think that logic is false?
No, I never made that claim.
No, well, I'm asking you. You're asking me, and I gave you my answer. I'm asking you what your opinion is on it.
Yeah, I mean,
it seems that you're arguing against what I said, so I wanted to get your full opinion.
Yeah, I would say logic is a universal truth.
All right.
Yeah, so I could probably get behind your. I believe there are probably things that are universally true, but I'm always going to hedge my bets.
Material.
That aren't material. So things like logic is made up. The universe, whether or not there's a human brain to have logic, the universe is still going to go on. You know, stars are going to collapse. Stars are going to be born. Logic is just a concept that human beings have made up. Is it a universal truth? Does it matter? I mean, what is it? Why does it matter if logic is a universal truth or not?
Because if it's not universal, then we could suppose that logic isn't true everywhere in the universe, and then, like, why should it be true in this debate? Then you could suppose if we were having this debate somewhere else in the universe, we wouldn't have to use logic. So
right.
it seems to necessitate being universusly true. Otherwise, it kind of seems arbitrary that we're using it now.
Yeah, I will accept that logic is a universal truth. But the foundation of logic, what is it? There's the three. I can't even recite what they are. But yeah, the bases of logic are universally true.
Yeah, you get law of identity, law of exclude middle, law of non-contradiction. But yeah, that leads me. I guess this will be my final question. If you're going to grant it's a universal truth, how do you know that as a finite being?
How do I know that as a finite? Well, the three axioms you spoke about cannot be proved. You have to accept that those three axioms are true everywhere in order for logic to work. And that's going to be true of almost any system that you use. Whatever system we come up with here, there's going to be a set of foundational axioms which are unprovable, but you have to accept for the whole system to work.
You think logic is axioms?
Those three propositions that you said, they are axioms. Which axioms are things that you cannot prove that that you accept as true for the system to work.
Yeah. Of course. I believe they're actually preconditions for any system at all. I mean, obviously, you're going to need to believe that A equals A for math to work, for example. You're going to need this for any other system. If you don't have logic, you're not going to be able to use mathematics, science, stuff like this. I wouldn't necessarily say it's an axiom because you actually can't reason at all without them, and you have to use them to deny them.
Use them to deny them. That sounds like the deep. You have to use them to deny them.
If I were to find out tomorrow that logic wasn't true, how would it change my life?
Well, you literally can't find out logic is not true because you have to use logic to say it's not true. Do you want me to?
No, well, you're just saying that if it's not true somewhere else in the universe, if it was, I'm just asking if it was, how would that change my life? Well, what on a day-to-day basis, how would my life be different than it is today?
Well, you're just making a category, or I'm not referring to pragmatics here. I'm referring. This is more of a philosophical question. Less. I mean, I don't know how it affect your life, and it doesn't seem very very relevant to me.
That's it. Doesn't that see that's the point I'm getting at. I don't think the question is relevant to a person's life. We all wake up every day. We all do our things. We live our lives. We're
Yeah.
born. We die. And the whole question of logic never really affects our daily lives. You
Yeah,
know,
'cause some people are more logical than others. And as soon as somebody tries to prevent a logical argument for something, I kind of give them unless it's a computer program, I'm going to kind of give them the squinty eye, because we created logic, but people's brains and our emotions, we don't really use logic to come to decisions. We use our squishy, weird emotions to do things. And sometimes logic can kind of maybe point you in a good direction, but people do illogical things all the time.
Yeah,
People
I
believe
guess
things for
I
illogical
thought,
reasons all the times. Go ahead.
I assumed I've only seen your guys' show, like I've caught it a few times, but I assumed this was more, higher level than just whether something affects your day-to-day life. I mean, I'm sure you guys talk about stuff, more higher level than just what's going to affect me tomorrow, right?
yeah, it probably depends on who's
to
hosting
me,
at
it
the
seems like
time.
you're just kind of running from this.
I don't think I'm not trying to run. What do you think we're running from?
I'm not running for him. I just don't find the conversation interesting to me. I've never been a big philosophy guy, so like I said, it's never really affected my life. So I just kind of don't waste much time on it. So
Yeah, well, I think these are important questions, because
Why?
I'm looking for an answer. Why are they important questions?
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
why
give you an
is-
example. I'll give you an example why logic's important, because logic can prove that there's no such thing as an all-powerful God. Because if God is all-powerful, can he create an object so big that he can't lift it, or can he do something that he then can't do? Right? So logic proves that you can't have an all-powerful God. So logically, people shouldn't believe in an all-powerful God. But I guarantee if you present that argument to people that believe in God, 99% of those people they're still going to continue to believe in an all-powerful God.
Okay, great. So you're using logic to deny God when you haven't grounded it yet. You said that
I'm using logic to deny an all-powerful God.
Okay, great. But you can't justify your use. I asked you, do you think that logic is a universal truth? You
Here we go.
reluctantly
I
said
granted
yes.
it. Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
great. Can you how do you know that as a finite being? You're not everywhere at all times.
I don't know.
I don't.
I'm just
I-
granting. We're
yeah.
granting it to you
Yeah.
for the sake of your argument. We don't know 100% for sure. It just seems to be that way, and you seem to want to carry a conversation going. So we're granting it to you to keep the conversation going.
But yeah,
Great.
no,
So to
I accept the
clarify-
fact that I can't. I don't know if logic works on the backside of Jupiter. I'd have to go there and see if it works. Like we can't be everywhere. We're human beings. We're finite. We can't be everywhere. So yeah, I mean that's kind of our whole point is we can't be everywhere. You can't prove that there's not some planet somewhere that logic doesn't work, because we can't be everywhere. So we have to kind of accept it.
And we'd have to have a human being there to work the logic out for it to be there.
Yeah.
So if nobody was there to think logically, then there wouldn't be any logic anyway.
So why should this conversation be constrained by logic then? If it doesn't work everywhere, or if we don't know if it works everywhere?
I don't know why.
Because then we just kind of stare at our belly buttons and we're going to go around in circles. We have to have some kind of foundation on which to converse.
Right, because it seems to be necessary, doesn't it?
It does.
But this conversation, no, not really.
He's saying logic. Logic seems to be necessary to having a conversation. Yeah, I would agree that.
It's not, yeah, it's necessary for this conversation, sure.
We have to have a shared mutual understanding of the world in which we're working in order to have a conversation on it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. The other guy.
We have to create a baseline to work off of, right?
Yeah, because if I said no, logic is shit, I don't believe it works. You and I can't really have a logical conversation because one of us doesn't accept it. So yeah, there's certain things we have to accept when we're having a conversation. We have to have a shared foundation. Did you want to take it a step further, or?
I mean, we can if you want. I mean, you're asserting, according to logic, that logic might fail somewhere. That seems like a self.
I'm not asserting it. I'm admitting that I can't prove that it works everywhere. It seems to work everywhere. It doesn't it doesn't make sense that it wouldn't work everywhere. But I have to concede that I can't be everywhere to test it.
That's exactly what I was saying too.
Yeah, but I'm not. What was the word you used? I'm not claiming that it works everywhere. I'm not. Yeah.
I'm not claiming that it doesn't work everywhere. I don't know, but it seems like from a pragmatic level, it seems that it does, and so I can use it because pragmatically it works.
Yeah, pragmatically we have to accept that it works everywhere. Otherwise, we're just going to be spinning our wheels and it just turns into navel gazing. At some point, you have to get concrete about things, and so you can have a conversation.
All right, guys. Well, this was interesting.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I enjoyed it. Call back, and if you want to go to the next step, I'm interested in.
And we have rotating hosts, so you might get somebody who has a better grasp of this conversation, somebody who's more interested in this conversation than Aaron and I might be, somebody who is better educated in philosophy, say, than Aaron and I might be. I don't know what your education in philosophy is, Aaron. I shouldn't speak for you.
I have none. Just what I pick up on the street. So I got street logic on my side.
There you go. I had to learn it in the gutter. But I do encourage you to call back and talk to some of the other hosts.
Yeah.
100%. Last thing I'll say is it's just interesting. You guys seem not to be interested in philosophy. I mean, it seems like a lot of the conversations you guys have on here pretty much pertain to, especially when referring to religion. So
sometimes. I mean, sometimes we talk about UFOs all night long. So
yeah, fair enough. I guess
call back in and give us a specific topic. I thought we had a good conversation. We were
it was a good conversation. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say it wasn't a good conversation.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, call back. All right, thanks.
That was interesting.
Yeah. You have to have a shared foundation to have a conversation. I think that's kind of where we ended up, right?
Yeah. We've got a couple more calls.
We do.
I do want to do a couple of announcements real quick, though.
All right.
So, merch. We have really cool merch, lots of it. T-shirts, hoodies, mugs, hats. Always rep the merch, man. And you can get your awesome, amazing Truth Wanted merch by visiting tiny.cc merch ACA, because there's all kinds of, it's not even just Truth Wanted stuff. It's stuff from all the shows there. So we'll check it out.
Loved by gay frogs everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to get through the night now because of these damn frogs.
Forking frogs.
And now you're sitting around, you're doing stuff, and you're maybe at work and you're listening to something, and you want to listen to something that's really interesting, maybe controversial a little bit, then you can go and get all of our content in audio only form by going to tiny.cc/AEN podcasts for all the latest ACA shows. Check it out. It's awesome. It's great for when you're folding the laundry, something to listen to. It's great. Another way to support us, and I mentioned it before during the Patreon thing, to send us some super chats. We would love to read them out as long as they're YouTube friendly, and do that.
I mean, we just want your money, really.
We just want your money.
Just give us your money. We'll say whatever you put on the super chat as long as it doesn't get us banned.
Exactly.
Make us say crazy, stupid, dumb things.
And, about 5.5 years ago, I volunteered to start doing things at the ACA, and I was just doing a bunch of minimal jobs in the beginning, and I ended up doing this. But in that 5.5 years, I have worked with some amazing, wonderful people. It's been just a great experience for me. Best group of people I've ever worked with. And if you would like to be part of this team, you can by emailing volunteer@atheist-community.org. Do it, be like me, get involved. Well, of course, you're not going to have my amazing charisma and raw sex appeal, but you can be like me otherwise and volunteer for the ACA. It's a lot of fun. And last but not least, I want to thank the other volunteers, the super crew. Bring up the crew cam, show those guys. There they are. Look at those handsome people in there. Handsome, beautiful, wonderful people. I'm having a hard time because you're really small on my screen.
Yeah.
So without them, we couldn't do this. I just show up and talk. And these guys are the ones who make all the magic happen. So I just want to make sure they get the good shout out, because really the show wouldn't happen except for them.
They're here before us, and they'll be here after us.
And they'll be here after us. That's right. And then I want to bring up Stephen from New York. He wants to discuss arguments for the existence of God. So be prepared, Aaron.
I'm.
Hi, Stephen. How are you?
Stretch.
What argument for the existence of God would you like to discuss?
Yeah, before I get to that, can I just ask one question? I would like you to summarize your thoughts on like Jordan Peterson style arguments that say like God, if God is real in some possible worlds, he's real in all possible worlds. Can
Why?
you summarize your thoughts on that?
Why? That doesn't follow logically to me.
Yeah,
I don't listen to a lot of Jordan Peterson, so I can't really comment.
I'm not.
I just really want to hear your argument, and let's talk about your argument.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say I'm not a big fan of those arguments either, so I wanted to bring like new arguments. From a philosophical standpoint. Okay, so the first one is like relatively simple. It's basically that God could be defined as the mystery of life because it overpowers that lack of knowledge everyone has, overpowers everyone. And my second thing, first of all, do you believe in determinism?
I'm not sure about determinism, to be honest with you. I've never really thought about it a lot. I
think our biology and our circumstances determines a lot in our life. So I maybe not 100% determinism, but
yeah,
I would say definitely it's definitely a factor.
Yeah, I do believe in determinism. So basically my point with that is that determinism influences everything in life. So it's probably the most powerful thing. So it could be defined as God, I would say.
Okay. So you're defining God as determinism?
Yeah, and the mystery of life.
And the mystery of life. Okay. And why? Why define God that way?
I think that makes it valid because it can't be argued against, really. It's because both of those things are very like they influence the world in a.
But why do you think they're divine? Why do you think that they're God? That's what I'm kind of wondering.
Because they're the most powerful things, I would say.
Why do you want there to be a God? Because it seems like you're saying we have this thing called determinism, and rather than just call it determinism and have a conversation about it, you're slapping the label God on it. Why do you feel the need to do that? Why do you want to do that?
I wanted to bring my best philosophical argument, because it seems to be a common topic. So I think that's the best one.
So your best argument for the existence of God is to redefine God as determinism.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
If you think about it a little, yes, I think it's a valid argument.
Stephen, have you ever heard somebody say that God is love? They define God as love?
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Okay. Do you believe that?
I guess that's one way to define it. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, but so he's either determinism or love or something else, right? My point is that a lot of people come up with things to describe God and then say that thing is God, right? Love, determinism, right? But I don't understand why determinism needs God, why love needs God, why God needs determinism, why God needs love. You see, I don't see the connection between the determinism and the God. So that's what I'm asking for. Can you give me that? Like if I were to put it into a mathematical equation, 2 + 2 = 4, right? Determinism plus what equals God?
I would say universal influence, I guess, like, because determinism, if determinism is true, which I believe it is, it affects everything in life. So that makes it much more significant than love, for example.
Aaron, you want to?
Well, let's just have a conversation about determinism rather than just relabeling it God. I don't understand that the need to. It seems like you've accepted that the beardy man in the sky doesn't exist, but you still want a God to exist, and so you're looking for something to label God. Which you say when you're looking at the universe, you're thinking, well, the universe started as a big expansion, the Big Bang, and that put into motion all the laws of physics, which is basically determinism. And from all that, now we are here today at this point in time in this spot in the universe. Therefore, that must be God. But why can't we just have a discussion about physics and determinism without and have to label it God? I don't understand you're just relabeling something. You're like, let's have a conversation about this box, but instead let's call it a tree. It's like, well, let's just have a conversation about a box instead of calling it tree. What is your response to that?
A box and a tree are not closely related.
Sure they are. Sure they are. Boxes are made out of tree pulp.
Well, my point isn't that they're related. My point is that you're relabeling thing one with a different name.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, exactly.
It's as close as you could get to. It's the closest thing to divinity. So I think it makes sense.
Determinism is the closest thing to divinity. Yeah, see, I would probably have a different definition of divinity. I think divine things are things that are really good and that help other people and that recognize the basic humanity and the basic dignity in life. I would call those kinds of things divine. Like Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood here in the United States, I would call Mr. Rogers divine because he had a deep respect for human beings and for all people. That's what I would call divine.
So basically, good
not
morals.
Determinism. Good morals, good people. Yeah.
Good morals. Yeah.
I mean, determinism does contain positive events as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if you're determined to be a serial killer?
Well, you would just be one, right? Determinism would make you be a serial killer.
That's why I'm losing this idea of determinism being divine. It doesn't ring a bell with me.
Well, I mean, of course, there's nuance with everything, but yeah, I don't know how to answer that question.
Yeah, Yeah, I totally I can get behind determinism, but I'm not going to get behind just calling that God, because I think if you go to people and ask them what's God, nobody's going to say determinism. They're going to say beardy guy in the sky or something close to that.
Damien, our backup host, wants to know if you chose to believe in God, or was that determined?
It was determined. It happened. It was already determined throughout all eternity.
Would that be the same for me then?
Well, you don't see determinism as a god.
No, I'm just saying, is my ideas of my ideas of God, are they predetermined just like yours were?
Yeah, of course. That would be
Okay, then why would God make somebody that doesn't believe in him?
Because it's I don't know, because
Somebody that would actively actively go out and, say he isn't, I don't see any proof that he's real, I don't believe in him, and actively work at getting people to stop believing in a God. Why would he create that?
maybe determinism leads to variation that's randomized. I don't know.
So God's random. He's throwing dice. I think Einstein said, right? God throws dice with the universe.
Or God
I would agree with that.
Or wouldn't throw it. I knew there was a dice universe thing.
Yeah. God doesn't play dice or something.
God doesn't play dice with the universe. That's
God
what it
doesn't play
was.
dice, yeah.
Oh, I mean, I would see it the other way around, because I think determinism, which I would define as God still, because it feels too grand to not be defined as God. So it doesn't really make sense to not define it as God. You know what I mean?
Why the necessity of defining it as God?
Yeah.
Why do you want to do that?
That's been the main question here that we're not getting an answer to. Why do you need to figure out what God is, or what that's not the question I'm asking. Why do you need to figure out why determinism is God? Why do you need to link the two together as one thing instead of two separate things?
Because it's the closest. It's because I would say it's true. That's so. When something's true, I think it's important to acknowledge it.
Yes, but I think God, most people are going to define God as having intent and being intentional, and there is no intent behind determinism. There's no force behind it. It's just the laws of physics interacting with the matter and energy in the universe.
You mentioned true too, so I was wondering how do we determine that it's true that that determinism is God?
Well, I mean, it's every word we said was determined. It was going to happen either way. Your last sentence was bound to happen for sure.
But how do we determine it came from that came from God?
Because I mean, you have to define. You have to categorize you have to categorize things in some way.
So
I mean, I would say.
Basically, you're just saying that God is something that we categorized. Are you just admitting that God is just a concept of our brain? I'm having a hard time following you. I really am. I'm sorry. It could be me, but I'm having a hard time following the point that you're trying to make.
No, determinism exists even outside of a human's perception.
I would agree with that.
It's part of the universe.
Would determinism be any different if you didn't call it God? If you took away the label God and just called it determinism, is it any different?
Good question.
It would be inaccurate.
It would be,
Why?
but would it behave any differently? Would it be in any way, shape, or form different?
I don't think that's the point. I think
Then you
the
agree
more
that determinism is the same whether you label God with it or not. Then there's no point in adding the label God to it. It's an extra exercise that is unnecessary, because it's, no matter what, you could call it God, you could call it dog, you could call it tree, you could call it determinism, whatever it is, it's the same thing. So adding God to it doesn't change it in any way. It doesn't change the way it behaves. It's still determinism, whether you call it God or not. So adding God to it is useless. Doesn't add anything. It has no explanatory power to determinism. I mean, what's your response to that?
The universe may not. I may not see it that way, I guess, so to speak.
Okay.
The universe may not see it that way.
The universe doesn't see things.
Yeah, I'm again, like,
The universe is not a conscious entity that can see things and explain things and has intent. There's no.
I'm confused by some of your language. I'm really sorry, but it is. But
if you and I were to sit down and have an actual, if we didn't use the word God for an hour and had an amazing conversation about determinism and how maybe people shouldn't be accountable for their actions because it's all just predetermined, and we can have a probably really good philosophical discussion around that and never mention God. So
sure.
why, right? So,
but why leave out a vital piece of information?
But it wouldn't be vital if we could talk about determinism without ever bringing up God. It's not vital to determinism.
This is what we've been trying to get you to do, Stephen, is explain to us why it's vital.
Why it's necessary and vital to have.
What is the vital part of this relation?
Because it created everything.
What created everything?
I don't accept that. No, see, you're giving determinism you're giving the forces of nature an intent. Provide evidence that the forces of nature have an intent.
I mean, how could it not have some?
That's not saying that I don't understand how it couldn't. That's not evidence. That's not an argument. That's an argument from ignorance, where you don't understand something, and so you're saying, how could it be otherwise? And that's a logical fallacy. Rather than say, I don't understand how it could be, you have to say, well, you have to give things that actually explain it. Does that make sense? Am I explaining that very well?
I do. I understood. Yeah, I understood what you said.
So you see what we're trying to, that what we're asking for, at least you understand that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to give a label to something, that's fine, but you have to kind of provide evidence and reasoning for giving something a label. If you want to label a tree, well, I'll probably accept that. Or if you want to label a tree wood or a tree a plant, then I'll grant you those things, right? Because you can make an argument for why you would apply those labels. But if you went up to a rock and said, this rock is a plant, well, now I'm probably not going to get behind you. So labeling determinism, giving determinism the label God, well, now you've got some explaining to do first before I'm going to accept that.
But determinism is intrinsically godlike, so that's
is it?
Why it's different.
We haven't determined that was true yet.
That
was something that I said before, that how do we determine that determinism is God or godlike? And again, this is getting back to what we keep asking you. What's the connection here?
Yeah, you're coming into ichtheism. Is that where you just don't even understand the concept of God? Is that?
It's like you keep explaining the same thing to us, and it's not the thing we're asking.
You're assuming that God is a necessary concept that must exist, and then assigning it to something that looks like God. I think you need to take a step back and think, does God exist? God even need to exist? Is there evidence for this God? Rather than presupposing that he exists and then trying to find something that looks like God. looks like your conception of God. Because you talk to 100 people, you're going to get 100 different definitions of what godlike means.
And
There's no-
determinism is not evidence of God. It's just evidence of determinism.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I think
Aaron,
you-
I didn't mean to
I
cut
think
you
you
off.
have
I
to-
No, you're
thought
fine.
that was an important point to make at that
No, you're good.
juncture.
Good.
Yeah, I would say you have to think of it more deeply, because I personally feel that my argument is the best philosophical argument.
For what? For God?
Yes.
We have heard your argument, and we're asking you deeper questions about that argument that you have been unable to answer, right?
The
So-
only
so
thing
it makes me wonder how deep your argument is. You know, you say this is the deepest argument I have. Well, how deep is it if we can ask questions that are deeper and you can't answer them? You might need to delve a little bit deeper than you're already delving.
Yeah, I guess it's just I'm trying to verbalize it, but the words are not coming to mind. I'm trying to think of the evidence.
Do you see why we're not convinced by your argument?
Well, I mean, I probably could have just said I have to think of it more.
Yeah, I think you might need to go away for a little while and think about. I think you're putting the cart before the horse. You've accepted that God exists, and then finding something out there in the universe to put God on. I think you need to take a step back and even question: does God exist? Because you have not presented an argument, a philosophical argument for the existence of God. You've relabeled determinism God. You haven't actually made an argument for the existence of God.
But one thing I would ask is, how would that be false?
How would what be false?
That determinism is God.
Because we've asked you like several times to explain it to us, and you're unable to.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
not-
why we're not accepting it, because we keep asking you, what is the connection between determinism and God? What makes determinism God? And you failed to answer that question so far.
You have to prove to us the necessity of taking the label God and putting it on determinism. So you have to explain the necessity of the label first. First, you have to explain the necessity requirement of the label God. And then once you've established that, then you can apply it to things. And that's the work I think you need to. I think you need to go and look at that God label and make a case for it even existing.
Yeah.
And then figure out why, if you've come to the conclusion that he does exist, why is determinism God? What is the link there? What is it that makes one the other? That they are both the same thing.
But first you got to find out why this label is a good label and whether that label even exists.
I understand that it could be hard to comprehend because it's more of an abstract concept, but
we're comprehending it fine. We're comprehending where you're coming from fine. I'm honestly not sure that you understand what we're asking for. We may just be talking past each other too.
I mean,
Stephen, we're getting late in the show, and I have one more call that I want to take really bad. So I encourage you to formulate your argument a little bit better. Call back in. I'd love to discuss this with you more.
Yeah.
You know, I
think it was a good
it's
conversation.
great. I think it's great that you're exploring these ideas, you know, but I think you need to get a better foundation to work off of than you have right now.
all right.
All right.
Thanks, Stephen.
All right.
Thanks for calling, and I really encourage you to call back.
All right. Have a good day.
You too, Stephen. Well, that was an interesting call.
Yeah.
We have we're running out of time. We got 15 minutes left to show, and we have one more phone
One
call that I
caller left.
really wanted to get to.
Yeah, let's
And
do
it's
it.
my buddy John from Canada.
think I might recognize this voice.
Somebody asked me about John today, and I said, I'm going to be hosting tonight, so he's probably going to call in. So, hi, John, how are you? It says you want to ask me about the origins of the universe.
Yes.
Well, do you want to ask me what I think is the origins of the universe?
Yeah, let's do that. Yes.
You know what, John? I have no idea. I know like there's the Big Bang Theory where we have a pretty good idea that it all started in one point and exploded out from that point because it's all moving outwards.
This is all greatly simplified, but continue.
Yeah, right. Well, but
physicists don't run away. We understand. This is all
Right.
greatly simplified.
But what actually caused that Big Bang? I really have no clue. And I'm not even positive that the Big Bang was like it was a big bang, right? And that's, I think, one thing that a lot of people misunderstand, that there wasn't like some big giant explosion that happened. Right?
No, it was better described as the big expansion.
So
The big fast expansion, not an explosion.
So a couple of my favorite theories are that the universe is constantly being swallowed up by black holes. And when it all got swallowed up, it got shot back out by a white hole that was instantaneous, just lasted for a split second and was gone. That's an interesting theory. It's a fun one to think about. Something that I've talked about a lot, indefinite causal order, is that cause and effect are superpositional. So it could be that the effect happened before the cause happened, and that started a chain reaction that created the universe. That's another kind of fun theory, I think.
Okay.
Like not really theories, but ideas.
Okay. Well, I'm aware of the fact that science. Okay, I want to specify that in science, nothing is ever considered 1% a law because you always have to learn more to it. So you don't say this is it and you end there.
Mm-hmm.
So
thanks for thinking that, John, because a lot of people don't do that. And That's awesome.
There can always be new evidence.
Right. Science is always moving and gathering more evidence. That's awesome, John. Thank you so much for saying that.
You're welcome. Anyway, so the number one theory is that what you just said, the Big Bang, and like you just said, it wasn't really a bang, like an explosion. It was an expanse that led to all the stars, galaxies, and quasars. However, I guess there's two main questions that people ask. A, what was there before the Big Bang? And B, what started it? And like you just said, no one knows what started it then. And according to one of your colleagues, he says that people ask him, was there nothing before the Big Bang? And he says that there was never nothing. And that's kind of hard to grasp.
Yeah, why is there even anything?
Yeah.
That's the ultimate question.
Yeah.
Why is there even anything? That'll keep you awake at night.
It has.
So if we were to actually answer the question, what would we need to answer the question, what is the origin of the universe?
Oh, that's
how would we actually be able to determine the origin of the universe? If we could wave a magic wand and set up whatever conditions we wanted to figure that out, what do you think we would need?
Well, if I was still a Christian, I would say that the universe was created by God, and that's all there is. But the problem with that theory is that if you just say the universe was created by God, then, like I just said, the investigation ends there. What were you going to say?
Yeah, well, what I'm asking is, what can we do? What would we need in order to test people's different theories about where the origins of the universe?
How would we set up the experiment?
Yeah.
Well, if you had either the TARDIS or Doc's time machine, you could go back in time and observe it, but that's not possible.
You could do that. Or we'd have to have multiple universes. We'd have to be able to see multiple universes, the origin of multiple universes, so that we could look at them, study them, maybe be able to set up our own new universes to see where they came from. Right? I mean, in my mind, that's really the only way that we can even begin to say where the universe comes from. And from science, from what I understand, that's not possible. We're in one universe. It's 13.5 billion years after it came to fruition. And so we've missed the boat on trying to determine the origin of this one universe right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But how would observing multiple universes answer the question?
The same way that going out and digging in the dirt and finding fossils helps us explain, gets us more explanatory power for the theory of evolution. It just gives us more evidence. It gives us more things to study, and helps the theory improve.
Here's a good question for you to think about, John. If you want to stay awake at night, if we could try time travel, could we time travel back to the beginning of the universe, right, to determine what happened there? How would we be able to travel back to that moment just before time started?
Well, if you look
to see what it was that actually caused time starting.
Well, if you look out in the night sky, you're looking at the past right there and then, because every star you see there is at least millions of years old. Every star.
Yeah, but that's because of the light traveling, right? If we're going back to the beginning of the universe, like the beginning of time, not the beginning of when light starts to travel, but the actual beginning of time, right? And we want to know how the universe started. We want to actually get there before it started to be able to observe what happened. So how do we get back? How do we time travel in time back to a point when there was no time?
Oh, I have no idea how to do that.
Yeah, see, that's what that's what I was saying. Now
the human brain, when we think about the start of the universe, we literally think of ourselves in a TARDIS, looking down and seeing the singularity of all matter in the universe, and then all of a sudden going, psh, but you literally can't do that because there's nothing outside the singularity. There's just the singularity. There's nothing else. And so you can't observe it. You can only be, because you're in the universe that came from the singularity, you can only ever be in the singularity. So if you go back, the farthest back you can go is to when time started, when the singularity expanded. You can't actually observe it.
So I was just thinking that even if we could time travel, that wouldn't help us on that one. That wouldn't be a viable experiment. Unfortunately, I really honestly don't know how we could determine it. I really don't.
You'd have to be able to create universes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We'd have to be able to create our own universe.
Or observe universes being created. And to do that, you'd probably have to step outside of our universe, and we haven't found a way to do that yet.
So in other words, it will always be a mystery, I guess.
I think it'll always be. It'll probably always will be. Yeah, unless unless there's. I mean, there's lots of unanswered questions in physics. Maybe once we figure out what dark matter is, maybe that gives us explanatory power. Maybe when we find out what dark energy is. I mean, dark energy is insane, right? The universe is not only expanding, it's speeding up. You can't speed up unless more energy is being put in. Where's this energy coming from? And most of the matter in the universe we can't detect. We can see, the only thing we can detect is its effect on gravity and motion. But we can't detect it any other way. We look at the motion of the galaxy, and there should be a lot more stuff based on how the galaxies are moving, but we can't see that. We can't see the stuff. Where is it? Maybe that stuff will finally explain where universes come from. Maybe every time a black hole is born, maybe that's a universe. Maybe inside of black holes are all unique universes.
Yeah.
Maybe we're inside the middle of a black hole. I don't know, man.
That's a very good question. Are either of you movie fans?
I love movies. Yeah.
Yeah. Watch the film Contact. They talk about all this stuff. Contact
is one of my favorite movies.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. I love Contact. It's a great movie.
Okay. Well, anyway, I know time is running out, so I think I'll let you go. Thank you for speaking to me, gentlemen. Have a good night.
Thanks, John. And if you ever create some universes, please report back.
Yeah. Let us know, man. Totally. Let us know what you find out.
Okay.
That was actually a fun conversation.
Yeah, it was. Oh, we have super chats. We haven't been doing super chats.
Oh my goodness. We're horrible.
We've only gotten 2. That's why we haven't been doing them. Because our listeners, we love our listeners, but you guys need to step up. There's nothing silly that people have made us say today.
You know what? I had a really good.
I'm a little bit disappointed.
I had a really good super chat challenge, and I didn't think of it before I left my house. But next time I host, I'm going to come up with a good super chat. I got a good one. So
We've got 2 super chats. We should do this real quick before we wrap up. Is that all right?
We should.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
So we got Crispin Slit. He's been a member for 2 months and he donated 2 squiggly L. Oh, pounds. 2 pounds. 2 squiggly L's.
That's how much
says,
I weigh.
Thanks to the crew, hosts, and callers. And then a smiley emoji.
Thank
you, Crispin. And then we have Kelley Sure 4937, who's been a member for 2 months, donated $4.99. Good old American dollars. Why is it hard to grasp that there was never a beginning? It's as comfortable as an awesome photograph of next year's Super Bowl kickoff. See you there.
Yeah. Thanks, Kelley. Two of our viewers I really appreciate, Kelley and Crispin.
I thank you, Kelley, for your money. I don't understand the super chat. I'll have to think about that one. But yes, thank you everybody for your super chat. Looks like Kelley and Crispin, they're the only listeners that are stepping it up. Everybody else out there, they need to
get it together here, man.
I wanted some silly things to say. I wanted some nonsense. I wanted to spout some nonsense out here and say things that I didn't really want to say, but maybe next time.
Well, you know what? We're getting near the end here, so I wanted to bring Damien back up and thank him for helping out tonight. And see if we can get him. There he is. There's our buddy.
I've suddenly appeared.
God, man, that voice of yours like melts me like butter, man. That's freaking awesome.
Oh, Kelley.
Your fucking deep voice with the Australian accent. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, a voice made for radio. But you have
and a face made for radio as well.
No, I didn't say that. No, you have
No, I definitely said that.
I disagree. So what do you think of the show tonight?
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts?
Look, it was good having 4 calls. That was a little bit different than last week, where there's only like 2 or 3. For me, I thought the conversation with Stephen was probably the best one because partly because I think the whole idea of determinism is interesting, and I thought you could have gone between hard and soft determinism and what actually determinism really means. And as you saw in the chat, I was kind of asking, like, if someone believes in hard determinism, how do they choose to believe in God or believe that God exists? And I thought the conversation with Goatus, that was just essentially a vehicle for pre-sup apologetics.
Yeah, I felt like we were getting set up, but then they never took the next step, and I was kind of waiting for them to go the next step.
I know.
Well, we weren't really biting on the script though, you know. So
no, so now I'll say if there was a caller of the week, and I did like Jamie's discussion of free will and heaven. There were some very good anti-apologetic arguments there as well, because when we get up there, are we just going to be robots?
For somebody who doesn't do philosophy really well, it was a real philosophical show.
It was indeed. And then we ended up with John from Canada on the origins of the universe, and I think with Aaron there in that I don't think we'll ever know. It's a mystery.
Unless we can figure out how to create universes, and maybe then we'll know,
And look, if John manages to create a universe and lets us know, I'll be all for it. Yeah,
I'm moving to Canada, man. If John, the universe creator.
John, the universe creator.
I think a lot of us have to learn to be okay with not knowing. It seems to be a big problem with a lot of people, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a great answer.
I don't know. So, Aaron, I'm going to ask you what Dan asks everybody every week. You got some words of wisdom for us?
Do I have any words? It's all made up. It's all made up, people. So just be good people. Treat people with kindness, because everything else is made up.
Cool. And Damien, I got 2 things I want out of you. Number 1, some words of wisdom, and tell us again what the prompt for this week is.
Okay, well, probably the easier one is the prompt for this week is, what's the most ridiculous religious claim you've believed? So comment in the video, and your comment may be read on next week's episode, where we'll give out the top 3 answers. So, and words of wisdom, I would say if you have a philosophical belief that influences your belief about reality, how do you work out how to bridge the two? Is there a bridge between the two? And be willing to understand that your beliefs may not be correct.
Touche. Yep.
And we got one more super chat
Got
near the end from Renegade Sapper, $5. Kelley, I am finally in my new house. Congratulations. Say hi to the mango for me. Love, Dave. Good going, Dave. Glad to hear it.
Congratulations. Kelley, what are your words of wisdom?
It's you know what? My words of wisdom is if it's not affecting your life, don't worry about it. Too many people worry about too many things that really have nothing to do with them. Stop worrying about stuff and just move on with your life and get shit done. That's about it. And we just fucking solved it all.
That's it.
That's it.
We're done.
It. And the one thing I do totally want to do though is to tell everybody that you should always keep asking questions and keep wanting the truth.
Watch Talk Heathen live Sundays at 1 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTTH and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callth.